Hey there, friends. This is Pete with BananaHobby.com. Welcome to your build review of the 1400mm FMS BlitzRCworks T-28 Trojan. We carry this Trojan here at Banana Hobby in 3 different colors, so the build review will actually be the same exact thing for all 3 colors. This is a beautiful, beautiful T-28, and I'm sure y'all have checked out the What's in the Box review. So this is the second video, which is going to be your hands-on build review. So a couple of things before we get down into the actual build review of this, this beautiful T-28 Trojan here. A couple of things you're going to need are, let me see, go ahead and grab this here. A couple of things as far as tools that I forgot to get out of the box here. Here we go. There we go. Okay, you're going to need your generic, pretty much your run-of-the-mill little Phillips screwdriver. And I usually will have Phillips screwdrivers in a few various sizes, just in case you never know what you're going to need. And a flathead screwdriver, a 1.5mm hex driver, which I think they give you one that's a little Allen wrench in the box. A general hobby knife. Be careful, hobby knives are extremely sharp. And various pliers, needle nose pliers, just sitting around. You always use a really thin pair of needle nose pliers, so those always come in handy. And for today's build review, you could actually go with a, this actual aircraft is 6-channel, so you're going to need a 6-channel radio. And if you choose to go with the FMS, our FMS BlitzRC brand, you can actually get it with 2.4 gigahertz, so it could come as your ready to fly format too as well on this T-28. And we're going to go ahead and, you know, this is the system from FMS. Or you can go ahead and use your own radio. So today, for today's programming purposes, I think we are going to go ahead and use my JR 9503, because I know a lot of people out there actually use the 9503 and have questions regarding the 9503. So we will use the JR 9503 for today's setup and today's build. And for the receiver, we are going to use the AR600 full range Spectrum receiver. Okay, let's go ahead and set that aside there. Other than that, you will need maybe some Loctite. I always have some Loctite, and I always have this. I always have a little bottle of super glue handy. So with EPO foam, super glue is actually perfectly fine for EPO foam. You're going to want to actually just find an inconspicuous piece on the aircraft and test your super glue and make sure that it doesn't eat the foam. It shouldn't. So that's a good thing about EPO foam, because you can use actually CA glue now, or super glue. And for battery purposes on this beautiful T-28, we are going to go with the really pretty and really nice, powerful Genesis Power 65C 2500 4S packs here. Okay, so this is going to be our power plant here. Go ahead and set that aside there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and bring the camera in closer, and we are going to go hands-on and start this build review. All right, now that we have the T-28 ready to build here and the camera in for a tighter view, we are just going to go ahead and go hands-on and full steam ahead with the build here. So let's go ahead and get a couple of these wings and parts out of the way here, and we are going to open up the manual and see where they would like us to start off here. Let's go ahead and open the manual here. Okay, here we go. Let's go to page where they want us to start here. Okay. Manual's pretty nice, pretty self-explanatory. A couple of parts need gluing on here, so we're going to go ahead and sometimes I follow the manuals and sometimes I don't. And in this case here, we're going to go ahead and veer off the manual just a little bit here, because there's some things that I like to do first with the build that makes the build actually go a lot easier and a lot quicker and more efficient, I guess you can say. So let's go ahead and put the fuselage aside here. We're going to get the scissors and a couple of different Phillips screwdrivers here. So let's go ahead and do what I always like to start with first and get it out of the way. Let's go ahead and get the horizontal stabilizer here out of the bag. Okay. What I always do first, I mean, you can follow that. You can follow the manual, but this just makes things a little bit easier, and it depends on which model I'm actually building. And you know, that's why we're doing these build reviews, to make it a little bit easier on you guys and gals out there that are building these. We're going to go ahead and install what's called the control surface horns first. And that bag right there for the horizontal stabilizer comes with the bag of screws and the control surface horn. So we're going to go ahead and install these first and get these out of the way, because later on when you get the aircraft actually built, it's a little bit difficult because you got to move and maneuver the thing and flip it upside down to get these surface horns actually installed on there. So let's go ahead and do this first. This is the horizontal stabilizer. You want to take note that there's a top side and there's a bottom side. And the bottom side, you will visibly see the spar for the bottom. So you want to make sure that you identify which one's top and which one's bottom. And these are the control surface horns. And this side here, with the holes on it, will always be facing the servo or the push rods. And the push rods are on the back of the T-28 here. So let's go ahead and start installing these. There's two for the horizontal here. And there's 4 holes on here, but the backing here only has 2 holes on it, and that's all you need. There's plenty of strength with 2 holes, so we're going to go ahead and put the backing on here. And you want to see that they're diagonal. You want to figure out which one is which, so it goes on the top side here. And we're going to figure out what the screws are here. They give you a couple extra screws here as well. So you do have long and short. So you know at the root of the elevator here is going to be your longer screw because it's thicker. There, so we're going to go ahead and put the longer screw in there. And the shorter one will be the one that's over here because it's a little bit shorter. And we'll actually go ahead and see which actually fits on there and if it reaches or not, because sometimes it actually doesn't reach, so we have to go to a longer screw. So let's go ahead and figure this out. So this one is fine. So you can see that we're screwing that one down already. And this one is fine as well. Yeah, FMS does a really good job as far as, you know, getting the proper screws in the proper areas here. So we're going to go ahead and just screw that down here. There we go. So that one's down tight. And that one is just about good. Remember that this is actually, you are actually screwing this into foam. So you really do not want to put too much screwdriver pressure on there. You know, you don't need to really sit there and crank these down super, super tight because they will pinch the foam and you'll end up crushing the foam here. And the good thing to do is after, with these airplanes, after every maybe 3 flights or something like that, you want to check all the screws over, you know? Just get a screwdriver out and go over the screws, and it's basic maintenance on RC airplanes. You want to always check over screws, check over, you know, linkages and everything on the plane and make sure everything is good and nothing's falling off or loose or anything like that. So that pretty much, you know, you're pretty much done with the tail section here. And these are hinges. They're EPO hinges, so I tend to always bend them a few times, not like 50 times, but just maybe like 10, 15 times, loosen them up a little bit, and this horizontal stabilizer, we can call that ready to install. So let's go ahead and go to the vertical stabilizer here and install that horn there. Okay. Let's get that out there. And right now we have to figure out which side the horn goes on for the rudder. So let's take a look at the fuselage here. There we go. There's a big old fuselage here. So you can see that the 2 top side ones here, this is going to be for your elevator, and the one on the lower side will be for your rudder. Okay, so now we know that sitting in the cockpit standpoint, this is on the left side of the airplane. So the horn, the control surface horn, needs to go on the left side of the rudder. Okay, so we have the rudder here. I'm going to go ahead and put the control surface horn on. Get the backing on there. And let's see, this goes in here. And this is countersunk. So you want to make sure that you see that that's countersunk. You want to put the 2 extra screws they gave you for the tail section aside, for the horizontal. And the 2 screws, the 2 Phillips screws for the rudder are actually the same lengths. And we'll just figure out which hole it goes in here. Okay, this one goes here. And this one goes diagonally right there. Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll go ahead and tighten this down here. Okay, so that one's biting and gripping, and we're going to pinch down on that backside there, and there we go. That one is in as well. So that's pretty much set, ready to go here. That tail section, pretty much, the rudder is pretty much ready to go, and we're ready to pretty much install the vertical stabilizer too as well. So let's go ahead and grab one of the main wings here. There we go. Here we have the main wing. And as you can see on the main wing, there's going to be 2 surface horns on each wing. One of them is for the ailerons here. This is for the ailerons. The outboards are ailerons, and the inboards are flaps. So we're going to go ahead and install those on there. Now we're going to go into our little goodies bag here. This has all your various screws for the main wing bolts and all your push rods for the main wing section as well. So let's go ahead and go here and just pretty much be careful and dump everything out and not make a mess. And what's cool about FMS is they always label their bags, which is really nice. They give you labels on there, so it tells you this bag is for the flaps and this bag is for the ailerons. So right now we're going to need both these bags actually. And the rest of this stuff, we're going to go ahead and put it aside because we don't need it as of yet. All right. And they also give you a various goodies bag pretty much. So you have a couple of spare horns here, control surface horns, and a little Allen key. All right, so let's go ahead and just open the aileron bag here. What I tend to do when I'm doing this is you don't want to rip the bag. You want to keep it in good shape because the push rods for the ailerons are actually different lengths than the ones for the flaps. So you want to keep this separate. So you want to put this back in your aileron bag and put it aside so you can actually figure out which one is which here later on here. Okay, we're going to go put that aside here. We're going to go ahead and do the control surface for the ailerons first. Let's go ahead and put that down there. Get the backing on there. Okay, get that lined up pretty good there. And with the screws here, you can actually see that there's long and short again. So the longer one is going to be going to the root of the aileron, and the shorter one will go to the diagonal across, just from that. So let's go ahead and get that lined up there. Sometimes they don't line up right away, so you got to kind of fiddle with the surface backing here. And pretty much completely missed that one there. So let's go ahead and reline that up real quick. Okay, let's see. Here we go. I think that's better there. And we missed it again. The joys of building an RC airplane. Okay. This one just does not want to line up. So let's go ahead and just pinch it there. Okay, now we got it. And we're going to swing that at the side here, get it lined up with this side here. Okay, so that's pretty much done with the aileron horn here, control surface horn. Now you're going to be doing it to the next 3 of them for the flaps and for the other wing as well. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, now that we have the control surface horns installed on pretty much all the control surfaces on this entire T-28, we can move ahead and go on to the next step here. Like I said, this is just something that I do on my own because it makes things a little bit easier later on. And remember, these are your servos here, so you want these horns to be facing the servos. So this wing is pretty much done here. So we will set the wing aside, and we will go to the manual and see what they want us to do next here. Let's see here. The manual calls for us to go ahead and install the main wing and then the tail section here. But I actually really don't like having the main wing around, big old main wing on there while you're doing the tail section. So we're going to go ahead and do the tail section first and get the tail section installed, and then we'll move on to the main wing here. All right. And it tells you, the manual calls for the main wing to be glued. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to use the supplied included rubber cement. So we're going to go ahead and just punch it with the top here, and be careful because it will ooze out of there. And once again, I am doing the build without paper towels. I forgot my paper towels and I forgot my rubbing alcohol. The rubbing alcohol actually take off this glue if you have it, get to other places where you don't want it. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside. We'll put this on the piece of paper here so we don't make a mess here. So what we are going to do now is we are going to test fit the horizontal stabilizer into the rudder, or the vertical stabilizer here. And that's pretty much how it goes down, right there. Okay, so that tail section is pretty much ready to be glued down there. And as you can see, the fitment is really nice, and it's really tight on there. So, you know, we don't need a whole lot of glue to actually get this to sit down there. Always good to test fit. I always test fit to make sure that everything goes in snugly before you get glue on there and then it doesn't fit correctly. So in this case here, let's get the glue. We are just going to go ahead and, let's see, I think I would probably put it on this. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it on the vertical. Okay, as you can see here, glue will be on this insert piece and on the flat portions of this vertical here. And like I said, you don't really need a whole lot of glue, so we're not going to do a whole lot. We're just going to put some on there and some on the flat portions, because remember, when you put the glue on here, once you press it in there, it's going to go ahead and press down on the glue, and it's going to seep out from the edges. So you don't need a whole lot of glue here, and it's always going to seep out. So be ready with some paper towels there. There you go. So we're going to go ahead and push her home all the way down, and that's pretty good there. So a good indication that you didn't use too much glue is if it doesn't seep out. But having a little bit of glue seep out from the seams is actually a good thing, because then you know you have a really good contact. But I think we did a real good job as far as amount of glue, so that actually is perfect. So this tail section is pretty much done there. Let's go ahead and set that aside. I need to move this main wing before I damage it with something around here. You know, the thing about building an RC aircraft is, I believe it's part of the experience and part of the fun. You know, you get to, when you're done with this, you get to actually go out there and enjoy something that you actually put together and fly. And during this build process, you know, you can get your family involved, and everybody can do a hands-on thing and learn about airplanes, because quite frankly, everybody thinks that we're playing with RC toys, and essentially we're not, because these RC airplanes are an extension of the real size aircrafts. And you know, everything that goes into this airplane is actually exactly the same as the flying principles of a real aircraft. So, you know, we're all pilots, so you can pretty much call that. We're all good, we're all pilots. Okay, so now the tail section needs to be glued onto the fuselage. And as you can see, same thing, all the flat portions here. We're going to put glue on these flat portions here. And we're going to go ahead and test fit real quick here. And everything pretty much lines up good there. A little snug. Okay, you want to take note here. Let me go ahead and spin this here. Kind of a small area to be building such a big airplane. There's a tab here on the rudder here that you want to line up. Spin it. There we go. This tab here, you want to line it up with this slot here when you're gluing it. You don't necessarily need to put glue on that slot area, but it wouldn't hurt. So let's go ahead and pull that off. I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of glue here. Okay, and then we're going to put it on this flat section here, and this flat section here, just a little on the side. I'm going to go ahead and put it on this section here. I love building RC planes. Something very soothing and calming about just sitting down, you know, and putting something together. It's really fun. Okay, I think that is plenty of glue there. And I have glue on my hand, and I have nothing to wipe it down on, so I'm going to wipe it on this piece of paper. Awesome. Okay, so now we have glue on all the surfaces, and we are going to go ahead and press fit this tail section into place here. Make sure that tail rudder is into the slot there, which it is, and now we are going to just go ahead and press down. We're going to press with even pressure. Don't press down on one side and the other, so we're going to try to go from the center and then go to the front here. And you want to press, when you press, you want to press with your whole palm of your hand and not with your fingertips, because that will actually damage the foam. Okay, so that's pretty good there. Check that. Make sure the push rod's out of the way. There we go. tail section not quite lined up right here. Okay, glue on my hand again. There we go. And now we have the tail section pretty much down and into place here. There we go. Okay, so that is pretty much your tail section down and installed here. Your push rods are out of the way, and so right now what I do is I sight down the aircraft now to make sure that the tail is nice and straight here. Usually you want the main wing on there, but right now it doesn't hurt to actually take a look, and it actually looks pretty good there. Okay, so now we are going to move on to the next step. All right, with the tail section pretty much installed here, we are pretty much ready to go here and moving on to the next step here, which the manual basically calls for the installation of the main wing. So let's go ahead and see how we can do this with the camera there. I think we may have to move the camera a little bit here, but let's go ahead and try this anyway. We are going to go ahead and flip her upside down, and usually if you have a piece of foam or something like that, it's good to set it down on there, which I'm going to go get here. Well, I don't have anything that I can utilize in here to set this down on. Usually I have a carrier or a foam block of some sort that you can actually lay this fuselage down on. For now, we are going to just call this make do with it and see where we can go with it. So right now, what we really need to do is take the canopy off, but once you get the canopy off here, you risk damaging these areas if you don't set this down on something. Okay, I had this piece of foam block laying around, so we're just going to set that on the bottom for now here, just because we don't want to damage those areas there. And out comes the spaghetti factory of wires that we have to talk about later. Okay, so that's pretty much good there. Okay, we are going to need a pair of small cutters real quick here. And the wings here have, I don't know if you guys can see that, there's a zip tie on there. So we're going to go ahead and cut the zip tie. Be careful when you cut the zip tie, do not clip it so where it, you end up clipping the wires or anything like that. Go ahead and set that aside. And then we're going to go ahead and, this wing goes on that side. This is the right wing. So we are going to clip this wire too. So we expose all that wire there. Okay, so now we need to locate the bag of wing bolts here. I believe they give you a couple of extras in there too. Okay, let's get the wing bolt bag out of there. Okay, we have the wing bolts here, and we have to locate these right here. These are the main wing saddles. It's basically they snap down into place here. And then we have your main wing spars, of course. So let's go ahead and flip this way, because the wires here are going to be going through these slots here, right there. You got to get them clean out of the way so you can get them down into there, into the slots to the top side of the fuselage. So we're going to insert the wing spars until they actually, you'll feel them stop. There you go. So that's about there. So they're nice and snug there. So I'm going to get that out of the way there. And we are going to do the same thing to this side of the wing. Make sure that this is out of the way, like that. And if you choose to, you can get some Scotch tape or any kind of clear tape and put a piece of tape here or something, and that would actually keep it out of the way. But it's pretty good out of the way there, so we can just try to insert this and then move it as necessary. Okay, there we go. So we have the two halves jointed, and we're just going to push her home, and that's pretty much it right there. And there is a lot of wire. All that wire right there. So now, as you can see on the fuselage, we have these slots here. These slots are cut out for these wires. So we are going to kind of straighten them out and insert them accordingly to the slots. Try not to lose any of these stickers on the wires, because all the wires have stickers on them telling you which channel they plug into later on. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Okay. You can actually, once you get that there and insert it, there we go. that looks pretty good. Camera angle, I know you can't really see that. So I'm going to slide the front down and then the back down there, and then we can go to the top side here and just reach in and, well, I bumped the camera several times. Grab all that stuff, that mess right there that you just created with the wires, and go ahead and pull them so that they're completely out of the way. There we go. That's pretty much completely out of the way. Okay. So now we're going to set the T-28 back down here, and that's pretty much it. So now we get the main wing bolt saddles here, and we kind of test fit because there's a slot cut in there, and make sure that they actually fit in there all the way. I don't believe they're directional or anything like that. They should be the same for the front and the back. They are. Okay. I want to press a little bit, press down. Okay, so that's pretty much it there. Now we get the main wing bolts, 4 of them, and now you want to pretty much just test fit. Like, it's going to be a little bit snug, of course, going in there. And then once it gets there, you want to kind of use your fingers and see if it bites the bolt on the opposite side, which those 2 already did. And if it doesn't, you can kind of wiggle around a little bit until it actually gets in there. Okay. That's pretty good there. So now we get the screwdriver, and let's go ahead and find out how successful we are with lining these up. Okay, that one is in perfect. All right. Keep in mind with these wing bolts here, and as you're screwing them down, they are a long wing bolt, so if you choose to use a electric screwdriver, that is perfectly okay. But once you get down to where there's torque, you don't want to use that because it'll pull this this bolt and this plastic right through the foam. There's way too much torque on that. So right now we're just going to get that pretty much cinched down there. Okay. Same thing with this side. I'm trying to get this screwed in as fast as I can for a manual screwdriver here. That's pretty good there. We're almost there. Okay, and I'll show you how much I usually tighten this here. Okay. Okay, so now we can go ahead and tighten this down. That is pretty good there. And just so that you have enough pressure. That's pretty good there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and tighten the front bolts here. Okay, so now that we have the main wings bolted down, we are pretty much done with the bulk of the build with this beautiful T-28 here. I'm going to go ahead and flip her back onto her belly side, her top side here. Awesome. And we're going to go ahead and take a, let's see here, take a look at, make sure everything is pretty much down good. Always check the portions that you glued, make sure that they're pressed all the way down because the rubber cement actually takes a little bit of time to set up, and that's pretty much good to go there. Okay, so now we are left with pretty much this madhouse of wiring here, but never fear because they FMS does an incredible job of labeling these wires. So to spare you guys and gals out there from the pain of actually watching me hook these up, they actually are all numbered, so you are going to plug these accordingly to numbers here. The one to keep an eye on are the ones that are labeled channel number 5, and there's ones that says channel 5 and it says C on it, and then there's ones that say, let's see here, let me find the actual ones. Channel 5C, and then C, and then this one right here, see it says channel 5. It's kind of hard to see, it's kind of a little bit lower. Channel 5B. So you want to make sure that they plug into C, plugs into the C, B plugs into B, and if it says A, make sure that A plugs into plug number A, or letter number A. So let's go ahead and do that now, and I'll come back in a bit. All right, so I need to talk about this real quick here. This little board here is the sequencing, it's the PCB sequencer. This is the unit that's going to be sending the signal to your retract gear, and the really nice scale retract door covers, gear covers here. So you want to make sure that this comes pre-plugged in already, so don't unplug that. And this side here has your channel 5C, channels 5C, and then B, and then B. So these actually are for the retracts and the doors, so make sure you don't mix these up right here. So we're going to go ahead and take a look over here and find out. See, there is a B wire, channel 5B, so we're going to plug that into channel 5, or sorry, channel number 5 and B, and make sure that the color coordination are lined up, and we're going to go ahead and plug her in. And we're going to do that for the rest of the servo plugs as well. Okay, so we are at channel number 6 now, and there's something in here that brought me, that I wanted to bring to your attention that I can't find right now. Here we go. If you have wires in here that are not the same color coordination as the brown, like orange and yellow, or brown, red and orange, or whatever you want to call it, and then the other side of the wire that you're looking for, like channel number 6 here, is actually white, red, and black. The black wire here will always go to your darker brown wire there. So that's your color coordination here. And the white wire will be matched up with the, I guess that's like an orangey or pumpkin color or something like that on the other side. So that's channel number 6. We're going to go ahead and plug that in there. And with that, I know it looks like a mess in here, but when you actually start plugging them in, they clean up real nicely here. So that's pretty much set and ready to go. And now we are to the point where we are going to do our radio installation here. So I'm going to grab my receiver and my transmitter, and I'm going to use an external battery here. Just a note here for y'all that are using your own Spectrum or your own Futaba or Airtronics or high-tech stuff. When you bind your transmitter here, you want to make sure that the retract switch, the gear switch, is going to be in the down position. Whatever position you bind it in, when you first initially plug in the battery power, the retracts are either going to go up or they're going to stay down. So you want to make sure that it's bound in the gear down position there, which I actually don't know how I bound mine, so I guess we're going to find out. Okay, so we're going to plug in the receiver here, and we're going to start with channel number 1, which is going to be your ailerons. Here it is. Okay, so if your receiver has numbers on it, just plug 1 into 1, 2 into 2. If it doesn't, channel number 1 goes into ailerons. Okay, we'll find channel number 2. Your channel number 2 will be your elevator. And we'll find channel number 3, which is going to be your throttle, which will be one single wire here. Okay, channel number 3 will go into your throttle, or channel number 3. And then let's find channel number 4 here. There we go. Here's channel number 4. Channel number 4 will be your rudder. Channel number 5 will be your retractable gear, so retractable landing gears. And then this one has a channel number 6, which is going to be your flaps. Not only does it have flaps, it has cowl flaps too. The cowl flaps actually open up like air brakes, so it's really, really nice on this build here. That's pretty much set there, and we're pretty much golden and ready to go to fire this beautiful T-28 up. So we're going to turn on the transmitter, and we are going to grab our Genesis Power 65C. Well, you don't really have to use 65C. You can use, you know, I think the C rate, like 25C is plenty for a warbird like this. We're going to go ahead and plug her in, make sure everything is, trim is down, everything is good. And the retracts will probably come out when I plug it in. So be ready to pick it up or have somebody else hold it there. There we go. And the retracts did not, so that's a good thing. That means I bound it in the correct position here. So now I have to, we're going to go ahead and tilt it a little bit here, and we are going to, actually I'll just flip it and put it on her nose real quick while that battery falls out because it's not secure yet. Let's go ahead and check the retracts here. Okay, we got doors open. That is absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Love it when it works perfect. And that's the good thing with FMS is their quality is amazing, and everything just seems to work out and go right into place with the FMS here. Okay, so now we have the T-28, which is rather large. On her top side, we are going to secure the battery real quick because I don't want it bouncing around. The battery, just so, let me see if you guys can see that. the battery here has a Velcro strap. So we're going to open that. Right now, we're not going to worry about this mess because we don't have our receiver placement yet. So we will figure that out in a little bit here. We're going to get this wire out of the way. But the battery placement, just so everybody has an idea here, pretty much, yeah, there's a lot of wires here in the way, but we're just going to slide this down for now, is right here. Very, very neutral as far as center of gravity on this T-28. You know, the battery goes right in the center of the plane. In most planes, you have the battery up in the nose area. This one's not. It's right here. Later on, we'll clean up all the spaghetti factory of wires there and get some zip ties and stuff on there. But right now, we have servo movement. Everything is plugged into the correct channels. And what we are going to do now is I need to flip her one more time and show you the control horns here. Oh, well, actually, before I do that, as you can see here, with the 1.5 millimeter hex driver or the included Allen wrench that they give you here in this little bag here, you want to loosen the rudder. The rudder, this is called an easy hinge. This is just a little set screw there. Go ahead and loosen that. And this is a wonderful thing that FMS does with these easy connectors, because now you can easily adjust the travel and the push rod lanes when they're off, when they're not lined up correctly. So you can adjust it from there and then just go ahead and tighten it down. So it makes it really easy. But we're going to go ahead and flip her once more here. And you may ask, hey, you know, throughout this build so far, why have you not installed the propeller yet? And I have a very logical reason for that. As we're building all of this, you really do not want a propeller, you know, attached to where it could possibly go off and, you know, hit you or hit something and, you know, potentially cause some harm there. So I always leave the propeller for last. So I'd never install the propeller until absolutely when we're ready for the propeller here. Okay, so we have ailerons here, and the aileron direction seems to be reversed, so we're going to go ahead and reverse the aileron. Okay, so that looks about right. So what now we're going to do is get the bag here that has the push rods in it that's labeled aileron that I just dropped, which is amazing. All right, and what we do now is one goes on one side and the other one goes on the other side, so we're going to put that down. We're going to find the top hole here in the aileron servo. Just kind of twist and push, and then let it Z-bend right in there. And we are going to notice that this is going to be way too long, and we need to do a little bit of sub-trimming. If you're using the FMS radio or any other type of radio, it'll be, you know, real simple. You don't need to do too much sub-trimming and stuff like that. But this one's just off a little bit, so that is about right. So on your other radios, you just basically use the trim function on it. That's on the front here. Okay, so now we pretty much just, you know, we're going to make this clevis here shorter because it is too long, and that is still too long. So we're going to go ahead and keep making this shorter. And we're going to install this clevis onto the second from the top hole here. And that still looks too long, so we're going to go ahead and keep tightening this down. So basically we're making it shorter here. Okay, so that looks about right. But all this right here is all tentative. We're just going to go ahead and set it up and put it on there for now. And then do the fine adjustments later on once you get it on the workbench, and you can actually look down the line of the aircraft so you can see if these are too long or too short. So this is for the flaps right in there, and we do the same thing here. And we want the flaps here, you want to try to line up this wing. Do this here quick. Just kind of sight this down so when this is even with this portion of the main wing that's not moving, you know that it's about right. So let's go ahead and just take a look here. On the flap, it's a personal preference. I still use the second to the top hole away from the surface here. Let's go ahead and, okay, that looks about good. So we're not going to push those down for now. And we're going to do that to the same thing to the other wing and to the tail section as well. We're all going to use the second from the top hole, and on the rudder, the second hole from the outside one. So let's go ahead and do that now and come right back here. All right, so we have a piece that's for aesthetics for looks here forgot to glue this on there. We're just going to go ahead and put a little glue right on there, and not on that side, pretty much down here, and we're good to go. And this goes right here. There we go. A little bit of extra glue on there, just wipe it off. And that's pretty much set there. So we have the whole tail section is pretty much done. We went ahead and pinched down all the control clevises, and I'll show you the retracts here. Look at that, that is gorgeous there. And then we have very slow flaps, pretty much ready to go there. And the speed on the flaps actually is built into the sequencer already, so it's already going to be a slow flap deployment. Let's go ahead and put the gears back down. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and put her back on her landing gear here. Be careful. There we go. And we are going to go ahead and do a check here with the control surfaces. And let's go ahead and make sure the tail section is pretty level there. So we're going to go ahead and just tighten down these set screws for now. Like I said, we will do a final a look over and make sure all the surfaces are flat and level. So we have ailerons are good, and elevators are reversed. So we're going to go ahead and reverse the elevator here. Okay, elevators are good. Rudder is reversed. So we're going to reverse the rudder. And we're going to pull this up here so you can take a look. It's okay, so we have up elevator, down elevator, up and down, and left and right. So that's pretty good there. We will do some further adjustments a little bit later. Right now, I have to run you through something with all of 1400 millimeter, just about, FMS and BlitzRCworks airplanes. Actually, I forgot to show you this. Look at the cowl flaps. How cool is that? The windbreaks on the cowl here. That is gorgeous there. Nice. Okay. What I have to run you through right here is called, it's in the manual here that you will need to refer to. It's called, where is it? It's called the ESC. It's a throttle endpoint calibration for your own radio. If you're using the FMS radio, it should be set up pretty much out of the box. That's why actually right now we leave the propeller off. So right now as you heard when you plugged it in, there was no initializing tones coming from the motor, and it's because you have to set up the throttle endpoint calibration so that the ESC for the first time will recognize high stick and low stick on the throttle stick here. So right now that's why there's nothing on the throttle stick. So I'm going to show you how to do that there. We're going to go ahead and unplug the battery to the T-28. We're going to shut off your transmitter. This will be the same for all the market of transmitters out there, with the exception if you're using a Futaba system, if you're using a Futaba Fast or 12MZ or any kind of Futaba radio, you will need to reverse your throttle channel first. On all Futabas, you have to reverse your throttle channel first before you do anything. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to start the stick in high position. So we're going to start the throttle stick in full throttle position here, okay? And we are going to turn the radio on. This is something you never do, but this is just for endpoint adjustment. When you plug in the battery now to the T-28, you will hear 2 or 3 beeping initializing tones. The first set of 2 tones that you hear, as soon as you hear that, you want to drop your throttle stick. As soon as you hear the second set of the tones, you want to drop your throttle stick from high to low, and that's all you do. And that should set up the throttle endpoint for the ESC to recognize your stick input there. Okay, so let's listen for the tone. Okay, right there, I drop it to low position. Okay, that should do it there. So now let's go ahead and shut it off and check it once more. There you go. That tells you the ESC is armed, the motor is armed, and we have throttle now. Ready to go. That's how easy it is. Make sure after the first set of the two beeps in the beginning, you lower the stick. After you lower the stick, listen to the 2 beeps again. When you hear that, unplug everything, unplug it, shut it off, and power it back on, and you're pretty much set and ready to go there. So right now, we're going to go ahead and unplug the T-28 again, because we are going to do our concluding steps here, which is going to be fun. We are going to build the beautiful scale propeller, and then the installation of this beautiful scale propeller. A couple of tidbits here. When you're building this, once you have everything open and everything's exposed, you know, you can see the servos and all that stuff, go ahead and get a screwdriver and just make sure everything's tightened down, the servo screws and things like that, and just make sure things are tightened down. It never hurts to, you know, double check on that. Wow. Look at these beautiful blades here. Let's go ahead and take the leaves out here, single blades. There we go. While I make a mess with plastic bags all over the workbench here. Okay, there's the bottom side and there is a top side on this. The bottom side is, you see like a stop sign looking thing, but it's not really a stop sign looking thing. That's the part that is going to be inserted onto the main motor shaft here. That's going to be right there. It'll sit right there. Okay, so keep in mind that this is the bottom side. So with that, we're going to hold this like this. We're going to go ahead and just this part is not the easiest because you got to hold 3 blades at a time. So before we do that, let's go ahead and put these are lock nuts there. Go ahead and see if these will stay there. Nope, they don't really want to stay there. So we're going to do that later. Let's just go ahead and put that on the table. Okay, we're going to do 1, 2. There's a little guide knob in there that makes it real simple to line up. And that's about in place. And now we're just going to take the top side here and pretty much sandwich it down and then press on it and then make sure they're all in, because once you pick it up, it tends to, you know, come back out there. Okay, press on it, and they all seem to be pretty much there. Yep, that's good. So now we're going to start with 1 screw at a time. These are lock nuts, little nylon locking mechanism there. So we're going to put 1 into the bottom, and let's start with 1 Phillips screw at a time here. Let's go ahead and get that one in there. Get your Phillips screwdriver, and we're not going to cinch it down just yet, okay? We're going to just kind of snug it down just because we have to make sure all of these are in place. Kind of rotate it with your hand a little bit to make sure they're in there. If it rotates, you know it's not correct, and they are all pretty good. So we're going to put 1 more lock nut to that one, and we're going to do this one. Okay, and that one's pretty good, and the last one there. And FMS, once again, they give you some extra screws, so don't lose those. Put them in a little Ziploc baggie and label them so you know exactly what these screws are for. And we have the 3rd one in there. And that is pretty good there. So I'm going to grab a different size screwdriver because that one didn't fit too well. With these screws, make sure you use the proper tools. If your screwdriver doesn't fit too well, go ahead and grab another screwdriver. FMS actually will give you a pair, like a screwdriver, and it works great. So let's go ahead and use that because it actually probably fit it better. Yeah, actually, I'll use this one better. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and tighten her down. Just cinch it down. It doesn't have to be like, you know, super tight once again. But since these are the propellers, I prefer them to be tight. Okay, that's good there. Okay, that's good, and that's good. And you'll see that the seam here will actually close up. And that's pretty much your build of the propeller. So now we're going to go ahead and install the propeller. Beautiful prop hub. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Okay, let's go ahead and set that down there. And there is no prop bolt or washer. The only thing tightening this down is your scale prop hub, the spinner here. This point here, if you do have any Loctite, not red Loctite, blue Loctite, put a little bit of Loctite there, but it's not necessary. You just screw that on there, and you just tighten this. Believe it or not, you just tighten this down with your hand. Your hand has a lot of force, so you want to grab the blades. Try to grab the hub here and tighten it. Okay, that's about good there. And they're not going to spin off because this is electric, and the blades are going to be spinning counterclockwise, which is against the threads on here for the screws. So this is actually not going to spin itself loose. This will be nice and tight. That's pretty good there. Okay, so that pretty much is the general complete build here. Let's go ahead and get the camera back out, and we'll call this a wrap here. All right. Congratulations on following me through this complete build of this FMS BlitzRCworks T-28 1400mm Trojan. What a beautiful aircraft. She's pretty much done now, ready to go. We have all control surfaces are functioning. We have some pretty much general tuning to set up and make sure all the surfaces are flat, and we're heading to the flying field. Beautiful here. As you can see, the blinking LEDs on here, the nav lights and everything. And we have throttle now. Here we go. Yep, plenty of power there with this T-28. Once again, thank you all always for your support and for hanging in there throughout this pretty tedious build here. But like I said, building one of these is all a part of this hobby and all a part of the fun of getting out there and flying it. Nothing left to do now but take this beautiful T-28 and go to the field. My name is Pete. Thank you guys and gals always for following us. And make sure you go to YouTube and check out all the new videos. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, where I interact with you guys and gals all the time. Beautiful T-28. Thanks once again for checking out this build. We will see you at the field.